how's it going? It's Tim Brown and
Cody Warren.
And today we're talking about 7 critical questions to ask your SEO agency. We don't want you to end up with a bullshit agency. So here they are. Here's number 1. Do you help us get more links back to our site, and how? So ask this. Ask this. It tells a lot. The answer to this tells a lot about where this company's mindset is.
Yeah.
Do they listen to Google's press release and not do testing and figure out what works best? Or what do you think is the best answer to this if you were a marketing manager looking for an SEO agency?
Yeah, I think the best way to look at this is look for what you don't want to hear. If someone says, we don't have a linking strategy, or you don't need links to do SEO, or just dodge the question in general, that's a good sign that they either don't know what they're talking about or they're not actually going to be able to get you leads. Any SEO strategy has to have some kind of linking activity.
Let's throw an "it depends" in there real quick.
All right, throw it in.
It depends if you're an enterprise company. If you're an enterprise company, maybe there's not a need for links, like specific link building activities. There's still often there are ways to get links as an enterprise company that makes sense. But what we're talking about is usually small businesses, small to mid-sized businesses. A lot of companies, even in the $100 million range, haven't done enough link building. There are exceptions, certainly. Once you get to a certain amount of links, guest posting and stuff like that isn't going to do a lot for you. But if you haven't reached that threshold, which is almost everybody that we talk to, you need to do it.
Absolutely.
2, how are you identifying keyword phrases? Number 2, how are you identifying keyword phrases to target? If you're a marketing manager, what do you want to hear there?
If you're a marketing manager, I want to hear that there's some kind of research going into what we're writing. I mean, you can come up with great blog topics any day of the week and be like, oh, this is going to be a great idea because my aunt said that she needed to find it. No, we want to know that there's data backing it, that there's volume, and that it's the difficulty for that specific keyword is not going to be overly hard to rank for. Because it can be a great keyword, but if there's already sites that have hundreds and hundreds of links and a lot of authority, I mean, good luck ranking for that unless you're prepared to shell out.
Number 3, are we looking at what competitors are ranking for as part of our keyword strategy? What do you want to hear there?
I think everybody wants to hear absolutely, especially if your competitors know what they're doing from a digital standpoint. I mean, that's some of your great, that's a great asset to be able to look at and be like, all right, this is what they're targeting. We want to rank for that. What can we take, or what strategy can we use from them to kind of beef up what we're doing here?
And we got to skip over competitors that don't know what they're doing on a digital marketing perspective. We're like, oh, there's no keywords here. Let's move on to the next one.
Absolutely.
That kind of thing. So sometimes the people that are doing well in business, it doesn't always correlate to them doing well in digital, right? Because there's old school methods of marketing that are very useful. And there's things like strategic partnerships. You could build your business gigantic on that. You don't always need to use SEO. It's just one tactic that we like. So just to give you some perspective on the fact that just because they're huge doesn't mean that they're doing digital marketing really well.
100%.
4, what is your take on content, and what is the role of content in SEO? Who writes it? What's the rhythm? That's something I'm suggesting asking. Now, what do you think people should say on that? I mean, I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all scenario here, but first of all, what do we say on that? And what are some other acceptable options?
If your website is an engine, content is the gasoline for that engine. You're not going anywhere without content. And in terms of rhythm and in terms of who's writing it, ideally it's someone internally, either in the company or on the SEO team, who has a lot of context and is very much so in touch with the business who's doing SEO. You want to be able to write content that's engaging and educational, that's accurate, and ultimately be releasing that on a weekly basis, at least every other week for the algorithm.
What percentage of your work is technical SEO and audits? So I think that that's an important question, partly because I think that just technical SEO and audits it's a cop-out for SEO companies sometimes, because they can essentially charge a bunch of money for not much, and I'm not saying that's everyone that's in technical SEO. I'm saying that is a good chunk of them. So watch out for that. What do you want to hear when somebody said, if somebody said what percentage of your work is technical SEO and audits?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a big depends in there. If you are a major corporation and have a massive website, technical SEO will be more important for you. So if your website is tens of thousands of pages, that would be like a large chunk of what you're doing, at least initially, to make sure everything is sound before you start really building out a content strategy.
What about small business? What about small to mid-sized business?
For small to mid-sized business, I would say I want them to look at it. I want them to straighten things out right off the bat. Have an eye on it regularly, maybe be running an audit on a monthly basis and making sure nothing goes awry. But really, it's important early on, making sure that your website has a good foundation, that it's technically sound, that it loads fast, and that it's not just gonna glitch out on users while they're on it. But
give me a percentage.
I would say 25% or less.
All right. And for on-page SEO, are we expected to do some of that work, or can you handle it? If I'm a marketing manager and I ask you that, on-page SEO, for you guys who aren't super, living and breathing SEO every day, on-page SEO is often related to a specific page. You're changing headlines, you're adding images, you're changing the formatting of content within a particular page. And honestly, this is one of the most powerful things that you can do as far as habits related to your own SEO. And certainly I think a marketing manager knowing some of that, learning some of that is great. However, from if I'm a marketing manager asking an SEO company that, what do I want to hear?
It depends.
Actually, I don't want to hear that. You
want to hear that the agency that you're working for is going to be taking care of it. There are some companies that are very, very hands-on, and it requires a lot of trust to be able to make those edits.
Potentially, if I'm a marketing manager, I want to do more. With my experience with marketing managers, I tend to see that they're not as much interested in doing that because it's just tedious and it's a lot of work.
The ideal is the agency you're working with is doing it on a regular basis, and you don't even have to worry about it. Ideally, it's just a part of the writing of the content, and then periodically 3 to 6 months later, everything is getting checked up on. Okay, this is what it's actually ranking for. Let's go back, tweak some of that content, change some of our headings, make it more engaging and readable for users, but also align it better with what search engines are ranking it for.
Great answer. All right, last question. Number 7, what are the key performance indicators that will help us decide if we're pacing successfully 6 months and 1 year into the engagement? So this is a really critical question, because if you know how to judge the agency after 6 months and 12 months, especially when they sign off on it and they say this is what you should judge us by, and they don't hit that, then you can get rid of them. But if you haven't had clear objectives, don't be surprised if you don't have alignment. So if somebody asks this question, Cody, what are the key performance indicators that will help us decide 6 months, 1 year in? What would you want your agency to answer?
Start with referring domains and organic keywords. Then I would pivot over to a rise in search impressions. You can get that data from Search Console. And then you're looking for organic traffic. 3, 4, 5 months. All right, is that organic traffic starting to have substantial 50%, 60%, maybe even 100% increase?
Small business and mid-sized business. It depends. We're going to get better at this, which is, hey, if you're a gigantic ship, if you already have hundreds of thousands of clicks, then maybe it's not as dramatic. Maybe it's a 10, 20%. Hey, but we want to see serious increase.
We want to see serious increase. Again, we're talking, from ground zero, when you have less than 100 users, you want to go from 10 organic sessions a month to 150 sessions a month by the 4th or 5th month, or ideally even higher than that. It's a case-by-case scenario.
But we're talking about liftoff here.
And then after that organic traffic starts to rise, closely after, you're looking for those conversions. And I would say if you have the organic traffic but not the conversions, look at your CRO strategy. Are you writing content that's compelling users?
Conversion rate optimization. I'm just going to do the little things. Conversion rate optimization. Is everything set up so that somebody wants to submit a contact form, so that somebody wants to make a phone call?
You can have great SEO but no conversion rate optimization, and all the fish are there, you just can't catch them because you don't have a hook.
So Moral of the story, get a hook.
Yeah.
Ask your SEO agency, even if it's not hooked, the right questions so you're not being scammed, so that you're not being bamboozled.
Yes.
You don't want to be bamboozled.
You don't want that.
Anyways, we really appreciate chatting with you guys today. Thank you for watching this video,
Thank
seriously. And I hope you guys have a great week. Bye.